The well-known engineer mocked at the black mechanic. "If you can fix it and get that engine running, I'll marry you." Her biting words rang through the open-air garage like a sharp crack that on a tense Monday morning. Rachel Barnes, lead systems engineer at Titan Motors in Chicago, had her phone aimed right at Marcus Hill as she repeated the phrase, lips twisted in a smirk that didn't touch her eyes. "I'm recording all of this, Marcus. When you crash and burn, I want proof that no one can just walk in and take my spot." Marcus, 38, had spent his life elbows deep in engines while Rachel was still writing thesis papers at Ivy League schools. His scarred hands carried stories of revivals long after certified techs had given up. His modest auto shop on Chicago's West Side lacked sleek scanners and awards, but it had one thing the lab never would: raw instinct. The experimental unit sitting on the aluminum table had stumped the elite. For engineers with doctorates had deemed it a total loss after blowing $250,000 on failures. It was a groundbreaking battery hybrid powertrain, tech meant to increase fuel efficiency by 70%. "You have until Friday," Rachel declared, addressing the growing group of employees watching the drama unfold. "5 days to succeed, where our dream team failed in 3 weeks. And when you flop, maybe people will finally understand why boundaries matter." The snide challenge had erupted during a heated discussion on manufacturing delays. Someone had muttered that maybe even Marcus from the corner garage could handle the issue better. Rachel's composure cracked. Her cheeks flushed behind her polished demeanor. "Bring him in," she had snapped. "If this neighborhood genius can outperform our entire division, I'll personally offer him a $250,000 annual contract." Everyone had heard the venom in her voice. Marcus had no college degree, no access to confidential design notes, and none of the cutting-edge diagnostic tools that cost more than his entire shop. "Look at him," sneered Brandon, Rachel's assistant, nudging the person beside him. "He probably never even took physics, and now he thinks he's Edison." Marcus didn't flinch. His gaze stayed locked on the damaged unit with an eerie calm that made some in the crowd uneasy. That was the look of someone used to solving puzzles no textbook could explain. "Hopeless," Rachel muttered audibly, filming every second of what she thought would be a public failure. "He doesn't even know what he's looking at." But in Marcus's eyes burned a quiet fury, the calm before a storm that those laughing wouldn't see coming. It was the steadiness of someone who understood the stakes, and just how much arrogance was about to cost. The footage of Rachel's condescending bet spread through Titan's internal channels like wildfire. By nightfall, the clip had been posted in dozens of employee groups, paired with laughing emojis and savage comments mocking Marcus. "Does marriage include dental?" joked Phil from logistics. "Wait until he finds out he can't even fix a blender," posted Jen from admin. Marcus discovered the video after his teenage daughter, Zoe, came home from school with tear-streaked cheeks. "Dad, they're laughing at you on TikTok," she said, showing him her phone. "They're saying horrible stuff." Sitting in their modest living room, the same one he and Zoe had shared since his wife, Lisa, died in a freeway accident 5 years earlier, Marcus felt a familiar weight build in his chest. It was the same pressure he'd felt when ER doctors shook their heads and quietly suggested private care might have made a difference. He hugged Zoe tightly. "Ignore them, sweetheart," he murmured. "Some folks tear others down just to feel taller." But inside, he was taking mental snapshots, faces, names, cruel jabs, all filed neatly away. At Titan Motors, Rachel was enjoying what she thought would be a victory lap. During Tuesday's executive briefing, she projected the video on the boardroom screen, drawing chuckles from the senior team. "Look at his confidence," she scoffed, freezing the frame on Marcus's silent nod. "It's almost cute how some people really don't know when they're out of their league." Titan's CEO, Gregory Hunt, a silver-haired veteran who had built his fortune from factory floors, shifted uncomfortably. "Rachel, maybe this has gone too far." "He's not even here to respond." Rachel grinned tightly. "That's why it's a teaching moment. We can't keep wasting resources on people clearly unfit for the job." Brandon seized the chance to pile on. "My brother's at Stanford Engineering, and even he says this motor's unfixable without the manufacturer's tools. That guy probably thinks a schematic is a snack." What none of them knew was that Marcus had spent the last 3 nights locked in a world beyond their spreadsheets. His garage was filled with printouts from online archives, scanned patent filings, and public technical reports. What he uncovered made the corporate snickering seem small. The engine hadn't just malfunctioned, it had been tampered with. Subtle, almost undetectable unless you had a sixth sense for machines. But Marcus noticed. 3 microscopic components had been rigged to fail in sequence. It was no accident. Someone inside Titan Motors had sabotaged their own design. Well now, Marcus muttered, snapping pictures of each anomaly with his beat-up phone. Ain't that something? By Wednesday, Rachel doubled down on her smear campaign. She launched a company-wide Slack channel called The Miracle Watch, posting daily jokes about Marcus's supposed progress. Day 3. Think he's figured out which end is the front yet? She wrote. Dozens of employees chimed in. He's probably watching YouTube tutorials right now, joked Kevin from finance. Or maybe he went back to fixing lawnmowers, added Tara from HR. While they joked, Marcus was seated across from a weathered old man in a flannel shirt. Elijah King had worked at Titan for 4 decades before retiring. That sabotage work has a signature, Elijah said, inspecting the photos. I saw something like this years ago when certain teams were trying to tank projects. Shady internal politics. Marcus leaned in. You know anyone still on the inside? Elijah's eyes twinkled. Kid, I know folks in the right places. And they don't like dirty games like this. The next morning, Rachel made a fatal misstep. Confident in her upcoming triumph, she phoned into a local morning show and spilled the story live on air, painting Marcus as a clueless outsider. This is what happens when people overestimate their abilities, she told the host with a dismissive tone. But one of the program's loyal listeners was Dr. Angela Pierce, a mechanical engineering professor at Northwestern and a consultant on industrial sabotage. She had helped corporations uncover insider threats before, and Rachel's smug account set off alarm bells. That same day, Angela showed up at Marcus's garage. Mr. Hill? I'm Angela Pierce. I heard about your situation on the radio, and I think I can help. Marcus studied her carefully. Angela, in her mid-50s, radiated quiet strength, the kind built from years in tough spaces. You're a professor? He asked. Among other things, she smiled. But today I'm here because I know what sabotage looks like. For the first time, Marcus opened his garage door to someone willing to understand. As Rachel continued posting cruel memes for clout, something much bigger was taking shape in Marcus's cluttered shop. Every insult, every laugh, every ounce of contempt was now being preserved, not just in memory, but as evidence. Angela wasn't just a scholar. She'd spent 2 decades as an expert witness for the Department of Justice on industrial sabotage. What she saw in Marcus's evidence confirmed her fears. This isn't just negligence, she said quietly, flipping through the documentation. This is part of a pattern. Someone at Titan is leaking prototypes and destroying originals to hide the theft. Elijah nodded. I had my suspicions for years. Projects getting mysteriously scrapped right before deadlines. Then someone else taking credit. Meanwhile, Rachel had gone all in. She created a public Facebook event titled Titan Wedding, Genius versus Grease Monkey, inviting the entire company. I've got the dress picked out, she posted in a laughing video. Something simple. It's going to be a 5-second ceremony. Told you so and done. The comments were relentless. He still has time to fake an injury, joked Brandon. Marcus saved every screenshot, every meme, every ounce of cruelty. His daughter Zoe, now helping him catalog digital abuse, showed him a parody Rachel had posted. In it, she mimicked Marcus in a cringeworthy skit filled with racial stereotypes. It already has 18,000 views, Zoe whispered. Good, Marcus said, downloading it. We'll need all of it. By Thursday, Angela returned with explosive intel. I got my hands on internal repair logs through a contact at Titan's insurer, she told Marcus. The data revealed 8 prototype failures in the last 3 years, everyone sabotaged in the same way Marcus had found. Even more disturbing? All the failed projects had been led by either black engineers or women. This isn't just about ego, Angela said gravely. It's a system designed to keep certain people out. Elijah put it together. And every time a project fails, guess who steps in to take it over? Marcus didn't answer. He didn't have to. That night, he worked in silence, assembling not just an engine, but a mountain of irrefutable evidence. Dad, Zoe said softly, handing him coffee. You sure you want to go through with this? Marcus looked at her, eyes steely. Your mom always said the difference between revenge and justice is this. Revenge settles the past. Justice protects the future. On Friday morning, Rachel strutted into Titan HQ in a fiery red blazer, camera crew in tow. 2 hours until showtime, she told the gathered employees. This'll be viral gold. A masterclass in knowing your place. Brandon was already uploading a group link to share the footage live. This was going to be a meme before the hour was out. But what no one inside Titan Motors realized was that Marcus Hill had already arrived. Parked across the street, Angela Pierce sat behind tinted windows with a high-grade recorder she'd borrowed from her university lab. At the entrance, Elijah King leaned casually against the wall, filming everything on his phone. And Marcus? He stood calmly beside the restored powertrain, a quiet fire behind his eyes, and an envelope in his hand, thick with something much heavier than paper. Because when people in power decide someone like you doesn't belong, they forget that real intelligence doesn't shout. It waits, and then rewrites the rules. By 2 p.m. Friday, the Titan Motors testing bay looked more like a stage. Rachel had engineered the scene perfectly. More than 100 employees gathered, along with several execs and select clients she'd invited under the pretense of a culture-building moment. A professional camera crew was already broadcasting the whole thing through the company's internal channels. Rachel, dressed in a fire-red blazer and clutching a bouquet of plastic flowers, addressed the crowd like a talk show host. In just a few minutes, she said into the camera, wearing a grin that barely masked her malice, we'll all witness a valuable lesson in knowing your limits. She turned to the crowd. Marcus Hill swore he could fix an engine that 5 PhDs called unsalvageable. Let's find out how that's working out. Marcus walked in quietly, toolbox in hand, exuding the same calm that had made people uncomfortable all week. Angela slipped in behind him, camera rolling from her shoulder rig. Well, look who showed up, Brandon called out from the back, triggering some uneasy laughter. No tux. Guess the wedding's off. Marcus didn't break stride. He approached the powertrain he'd spent 5 days nursing back from the dead. Every motion was deliberate. He checked each connection, tightened a cable, scanned his notes. Silence settled over the warehouse like a storm cloud. Before I started, Marcus said, his voice carrying across the floor, there's something I need to show you all. Rachel's smile twitched. This wasn't in the humiliation script. He pulled out his phone and connected it to a compact projector Angela had brought with her. A close-up appeared on the wall, damaged parts, components bent and broken with pinpoint accuracy. This unit didn't fail by accident, Marcus said. It was rigged too. He pointed. 3 sensors, damaged just enough to collapse the system in a chain reaction. That's not wear and tear. That's precision sabotage. A buzz swept through the room. Rachel stepped forward, voice sharp. This is ridiculous. You're trying to spin failure into fantasy. But Angela stepped into the light, a folder in her arms. Actually, she said, he's right. Dr. Angela Pierce, professor of mechanical engineering and former federal consultant in industrial sabotage. I've reviewed Marcus Hill's evidence. This engine was tampered with, on purpose. And this isn't the first time. Rachel's face drained of color. What are you trying to suggest? Marcus clicked again. More slides. More photos. Every failed unit followed the same pattern. Every time, the lead was either a black engineer or a woman. Every time, after the project failed, someone else stepped in and got the reward. Elijah stepped forward now, holding printed files. I've been at Titan over 40 years. I've seen these same sabotage tricks before. But the difference this time is, we documented it. Rachel, you and your team pulled $1.2 million in promotions and bonuses in the past 3 years. Always after taking over projects that mysteriously fell apart. Rachel's voice wavered. You can't prove any of this. This is defamation. Marcus let a small smile slip. Actually, we can. Brandon, you remember that video you made, mocking me with that little skit full of racist garbage? You thought it disappeared, right? My daughter Zoe saved it before it could. The projector screen changed. There it was, Rachel and Brandon, mimicking Marcus in a vile parody, exaggerated voice and all. The room gasped. Some clients walked out immediately. And Rachel, Marcus continued. Zoe also printed every message from the company's Slack group. All the memes. All the private chats. Including the ones where you talked about keeping people like me in check, and using creative tactics to make sure diversity hires don't stick around. The next set of slides showed screenshots. Rachel's messages openly mocking equity hires, joking about scrubbing the roster, and boasting about removing competition. In the back of the room, CEO Gregory Hunt had entered silently, jaw clenched. "Rachel," he said coldly. "My office. Now." But Marcus raised a hand. "Hold on," he said. "I've got one more thing." He turned back to the powertrain and flipped the ignition. The engine came to life instantly, humming with smooth, clean energy. It didn't just work, it ran better than it ever had. "I didn't just fix this," Marcus said. "I made it better. 15% more efficient. No million-dollar equipment. Just raw experience and clarity." Rachel dropped into a chair, mascara streaking, her red blazer now looking more like a red flag. "It was a joke," she whispered. "We didn't mean," Marcus cut her off. "You tried to wreck my career. You humiliated my daughter. You helped protect a system that punishes people for their skin color. That's not a joke. That's systemic harm." Angela stepped up. "The full case file's already been sent to the Department of Justice, the State Board, and multiple press outlets. Rachel Barnes and Brandon Keller will face criminal charges, sabotage, discrimination, conspiracy." A heavy silence spread through the room. Rachel tried to stand, but her knees gave way. As security moved in to escort her out, Marcus added, "And about that marriage offer?" He shut the engine off. "Thanks, but I'll have to decline. I prefer partners who respect me as a human being." As she was led away, reputation shattered in front of the people she once tried to impress, Marcus remained next to the engine, not just repaired, but reborn. And so was he. Because when privilege forgets that excellence doesn't look a certain way, the fallout isn't just embarrassing, it's historic. They laughed. They mocked. But he didn't fight back for revenge. He did it for his daughter. Speech balloon, now tell us in the comments. If you were in his shoes, humiliated, outnumbered, underestimated, would you walk away or stand your ground? Red heart if this story made you feel anything. Anger, pride, tears. Don't just scroll. Backhand index pointing right, hit subscribe. Because stories like this, they're not just content. They're a mirror. And someone out there needs to see this today.